A lot of people believe you have to start from zero when transitioning into a new field, but that's not always true. When I moved from electrical engineering to product design, I didn't just quit my job and hope for the best. Instead, I built up my skills while working, so by the time it's ready for me to make the switch, I already had experience to back me up. In this video, I'll break down the exact steps I took to transition without going broke, wasting time, or completely starting over, and how you can apply these strategies no matter what field you are moving into. Okay, so a little backstory. For me, I always knew I wanted to do something in design, but I didn't think it would happen anytime soon. So I was okay doing it part-time. Eventually, I had to make a choice because my engineering job didn't make sense for me long-term. One thing I valued was the freedom to express myself creatively, but the long working hours meant I couldn't practice my design anymore, and I wasn't ready to lose that. So I had to make a decision. So I decided to go all in, but I needed to be smart about it because one, I had bills to pay, responsibilities, and I couldn't just quit overnight. If you are wondering how I got into engineering when I love design, I actually spoke about it on Unscripted with Regan. You can check it out. But now, let's get into the real process, how I made the transition happen. Before anything, define what success looks like for you. For me, it was simple. Land a full-time remote job as a product designer. That goal gave me a direction. It wasn't just about learning design. It was about doing what was needed to become hireable. Once you have a goal, you can focus on my 3 E's framework, which is evaluate, estimate, and execute. This works for any transition, whether you are transitioning into design, tech, business, or any other field. Let's start with evaluate. This is the ego check. Before moving forward, you need to know, one, what skills you already have, what skills you need to learn, your personal situation, work, finances, time availability. To evaluate my skills, I studied job descriptions for product designers, and I noticed common themes across all roles, like having a strong visual skill, having a good understanding of the design principles, collaborating with developers, PM, and so many more. I made a list of what I already knew and what I needed to work on. Then came evaluating my situation. I needed to understand where I was at that point in my life. One, I knew I had to sacrifice my sleep because I was mostly working 12 hours, including weekends. And if I had to learn, then I have to sacrifice my sleep. Secondly, I knew I had responsibilities. I had bills to pay, I had rent to pay, I had family to support, and quitting at that point didn't make sense for me. The last thing I considered, which was more strategic, was have at least 6 months of savings before making any drastic move. This was my backup option in case I had to quit my job. Now, the key takeaway here is everyone's journey is different. I couldn't afford quitting my job to pursue this because I had people that were relying on me. Like I said, I had bills to pay, rent to pay, and all that, so I couldn't afford that. But then, if you're in a situation where you have a financial cushion, you have people that could support you, you could actually quit your job if you want to. So keep in mind, you need to understand your situation for this to work. Now let's talk about the second E, estimate. If you did a good job with the evaluation, this step should be pretty much straightforward. The reason is, once you know your skill gaps, you know your situation, your personal life, your financial situation, everything, you should be able to estimate a realistic timeline. In my case, I knew I had limited learning hours, mainly because of my job. So I gave myself 2 years to make that transition happen. For you, it could be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. Just know it depends on your evaluation and how much risk you are willing to take. Let's look at our last E, execute. This is where most people struggle. It's easy to make plans, but execution is everything. It's easy to watch tutorials and feel productive, but then if you are not applying what you learn, you are just procrastinating. Here's what I did. I took pro bono works and passion projects to build my experience. I set aside some time to learn design, practice design after my long working hours. And that's something you have to understand. It doesn't come easy. You need to put in the work. So whatever situation you are in, you need to make sure you are considering that. I volunteered for NGO projects mainly because I wanted to get real world experience, because it's also crucial when you are moving into that field, any new field. Your work experience matters. For me, yes, although I was doing freelancing here and there, I was mostly doing it alone, so I needed that team experience, and that's how come I was volunteering for roles in NGO. It could be a team setting, whatever it is. Make sure you are considering that. Everything I did was strategic because I wasn't just learning for learning's sake or learning just to have fun. I was making sure I became hireable. That means whatever skill gap that I needed to close, I was doing that by volunteering, working on projects here and there. And at that point, money wasn't my reason. Money wasn't my motivation. My motivation was to close the skill gap, get closer to me becoming hireable. Now we are done with the 3E frameworks. Let's talk about how to get a job. Now in my situation, I knew I couldn't attend physical events, mainly because of my working structure. So I made good use of online webinars. I joined a lot. And through that, I was able to get someone to help me with my resume. Through that, I was able to get a free consultation on how to improve my resume. Another thing I did was optimizing my LinkedIn and putting myself out there. I think people underestimate this thing because, yeah, a lot of people are saying, yeah, put yourself out there, but I'm still sure people don't know how good that advice is, because that was mainly what I was doing. I was actively posting. If I did any work, I'll post it. If I did any redesign, whatever it is, I was actively posting. And this got me some of the gigs, the freelance gigs that I had. And through that, I was practicing, you know. I got some paid projects too as well, mainly because I was putting myself out there. So whilst you are planning on transitioning, don't just sit behind your machine just learning all day and no one knows about it, no one knows what you are doing. Please, it will not help you. Post your work, post what you are doing, be out there. It really helps. Okay, so the last part which I want to talk about is the job application. Now, my situation was a bit different because I didn't apply to 100+ jobs like the way most people do. I applied to 10 and I got feedback from 2. For me, it was more on a strategic level. Like I said, I look into the company, if they align with my values. Do I even want to work in a company like this? Do I like what they are doing? Is this something I'm interested in? Because I don't want to create a situation for myself where I get into a company where I'm not actually happy about what I'm doing, right? So that was something I was intentional about. Also, you need to tailor your resume to wherever you are applying to. You've heard this a lot, but yeah, I did that mainly because I got help from someone through the webinars that I was joining. So you see, full circle moment. That's why I said you have to put yourself out there. You have to reach out to people. Okay, this is what you are doing. Is there open roles? You might be surprised at people that will be willing to help you. And also be proactive. Make sure your resume, you go through it. Avoid errors, spelling mistakes, typos. Avoid that because it means you are not taking the role itself serious. To wrap up, here are the key steps for a successful career transition. 1. Set a clear goal. That's what's your end game. 2. Evaluate where you are now. Skills, your situation, and your gaps. 3. Estimate a timeline based on your reality. 4. Execute by taking real action, not just learning forever. 5. Put yourself out there. Apply, network, and be strategic. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.